From LALATE News headquarters in Santa Monica, this is Mornings LALATE.
It's actually one of the most important third stimulus check days that we have seen in a very long time. Why? Number one, $1,400 third stimulus checks will be landing in millions and millions of bank accounts today. Today is St. Patrick's Day. It's Green Beer Day, but it's also Greenbacks Day, as $1,400 third stimulus checks by direct deposits will be landing today. That's if you're on Direct Express card or SSI or SSDI. Social Security, big banks or small banks. Today is the arrival of your $1,400 third stimulus check, and right around the corner is your paper check as well. I'll have breaking details from the White House overnight about your arrival of the $14 stimulus check. Also, why today is so important, in fact, insanely important, is because of this man, Jerome Powell. The Federal Reserve's FOMC meeting notes will be released later today, and these are singularly the most important notes that could impact the economy. Is the economy growing too strong? Is it stalling? Is there inflation around the corner, or is there not? This is the big push, as forced stimulus is just around the corner. This could signal more stimulus, or that the economy is too stimulated. I'll have all those details and more. It's a great morning. I'm so glad you're here. Early Mornings is back, and it's back with a vengeance. And the only thing missing is a little bit of bacon. The butter is buttering, the toast is toasting, and the coffee is brewing. I'm here, you're here, and let's get ready to rock and roll as Early Mornings kicks into high gear starting right now. Of Americans awake the new day, they wonder if there is that $1,400 third stimulus check in that bank account. And that person could be you. Congratulations, you made it to the magic day of March 17th. Normally, it's green beers, but today it's greenbacks, because St. Patrick's Day is also signifying the arrival of a $1,400 third stimulus check in your bank account. If you're watching this recording, which is 3 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, 3 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, or 4 o'clock a.m. Pacific Standard Time, or 7 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time, you may have already checked your direct deposit. Do you see a $1,400 deposit yet? I'll have all the details about when throughout the day that could change. Don't be alarmed if you don't see it yet. Stay with me to the very end of this recording, because I have big details and a lot of stuff happening in this Early Mornings broadcast. First, let me go over the $1,400 stimulus check, the direct deposit, and what's happening today. The viewers who will be receiving direct deposits today are the viewers who thought that they were supposed to receive a direct deposit last Friday. Some viewers on Chime and Cash App received a $14 stimulus check last Friday. Some on H&R Block's Emerald Card received it on Monday. But you would likely receive it today if you are among the following group. 1, you have a Direct Express card and receive your benefits every month electronically from the federal government. These are people on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, railroad benefits, and veterans who use the Direct Express card. Number 2, you're an individual who receives your benefits electronically every month. Even if you're on SSI and SSDI and don't use the Direct Express card, you have it go into your bank. This is you. Number 3, anyone who received the first and second stimulus check electronically, this is also you. Who would this also include today? Anyone who used the IRS Track My Stimulus Check tool and saw the result of March 17th, this is also you. And finally, anyone who banks at a big bank and knows that a direct deposit is pending with IRS and that big bank has told them March 17th, this is also you. So who is not today for March 17th deposits? Well, if you're expecting a payment by paper check, it's not your paper check day. Also, there may be some viewers who don't see it post today, but see the available funds tomorrow, meaning that today is the pending day and tomorrow is the posting or available funds day. I'll have more about that in a second, but let me tell you what else is happening across the board. The President of the United States appeared on broadcast news yesterday, and he appeared the day before. His message to the American people is that a stimulus check is arriving, but he didn't particularly get the message out loud and clear. He initially told the American public that a stimulus check was coming, and he wanted to say it was coming in 10 days. He butchered the message initially, and this is what he first said 2 days ago.
When I signed the American Rescue Plan last week, I said help is on the way. This week, I can report this isn't just on the way, it's here, sooner than many ever thought possible. Over the next 10 days, we'll reach two goals, two giant goals. The first is 100 million shots in people's arms will have been completed within the next 10 days, and 100 million checks in people's pockets in the next 100 days.
At that point, the president must have been signaled that he made a snafu. You heard him say, in the next 10 days, you will get a stimulus check in the next 100 days, which clearly is a contradictory statement. So either from viewers of this channel signaling to the president or his staff, he tried to do it again. And he did that yesterday when he issued yet another statement. In that statement, he then corrected himself by telling the American people, your stimulus check will land within 10 days. Here's yesterday's statement correcting the day before and how he explains it even clearer.
We're going to reach two goals in the next 10 days. 100 million shots in people's arms. 100 million shots. And 100 million checks of $1,400 or more in people's pockets within the next 10 days. We're on the way. Help is on the way.
So here you see the president reassuring American people that the stimulus check will be coming
and
in 10 days.
100 million checks of $1,400 or more in people's pockets within the next 10 days.
What's important to understand is that the president's message may have confused other viewers, so let me explain what's going on. The president's message is not for the direct deposit recipients. You're getting it today. He's referring to everyone else, namely the paper check people. There's incredible great news in his message, and let me explain what's going on. Normally, paper check people would take 3 weeks after a law to receive a paper check by direct deposit. The president's message is we've ramped up our processes and can get the paper checks to you within 10 days after it became a law last Thursday. This is huge, great news. So to recap, where are we for direct deposit versus paper checks? First, direct deposits will start appearing today. Second, paper checks and everyone else will be finished within 10 days of last week's Thursday. This is huge, great news. So what should you expect across today? If you're watching at 4 a.m. Pacific Standard Time or 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and you've gone to your account and don't see a direct deposit posting yet, don't be worried, because I'm going to explain to you how that works. Moreover, let me go over a couple of factors involved with today's deposit. Today's deposit started as a bank transfer from the federal government last Friday. Some banks released the funds last Friday, some released them last Saturday, others released them this Monday. Ultimately, banks saw the date on the deposit and ultimately used their determination on what to do. Yesterday, bank depositors basically said the following. We believe that the effective date of the payment from the IRS is March 17th. So we are releasing the funds on March 17th, which is today. So two things could happen today. Either by the end of today, you will see the availability of $1,400 funds in your account, or you will see them available tomorrow. If you to see them tomorrow, you would likely see a pending status today. Now, I have a lot of viewers who saw pending status yesterday for available funds today. That's important to understand as well. Let me go over the time of day, which I think may be one of the big discussions of today's broadcast. If you're at 7 o'clock on the East Coast and not seeing a deposit yet, don't be of alarm. The way that banks post to accounts deposits is very different based upon the bank, also the bank operations, and also where you're located. Some banks may show the deposit at 9 o'clock, others may show it at 10 o'clock, others may show it at 11 o'clock. And then some customers with the same bank may see different deposits appearing at different times. So, for example, let's say someone in this chat says, I see it from Direct Express card, and someone else says, I do not. That would not mean you're not getting a stimulus check. It just means it's taking time for the system to update all the accounts. Another example is someone that shows a major big bank has posted from Bank of George of $1,400 at the time of this recording, but someone else says, I bank at that bank and I haven't seen it as well either. Not cause of alarm. This is where a situation I'm about to give coming up is slightly different though. Yesterday I had one viewer who said, my daughter and I bank at the same bank. She got her bank deposit last Friday. Today is Tuesday. I haven't seen mine. That's a little bit of a concern because there's a husband and a daughter father and a daughter at the same bank, and he saw his not post nearly 3 business days after his daughter's. This is where I would be wondering. By the end of this week, if you are that father with that daughter and you still don't see yours posting, that would be cause for concern. Is it cause for concern that by the end of today you don't see a deposit appear? No. Is it cause for concern that the stimulus check is missing? No. Rather, what you need to understand is that a lot of deposit institutions take a lot of time to process a lot of information. And that ultimately today is likely to be the big, great, exciting day that many believe it is. Most believe that today is the day at which the stimulus check will post to your account, number one. Number two, most believe that if there is no posting of the available funds to your account, that the funds will be available for disbursement tomorrow and that today will show pending. But what else should you need to know? I'll have more about that in a second, but first I want to turn to this man. This is huge, big news, as the Federal Reserve will be meeting again today and will be issuing statements about stimulus. This is absolutely categorically important. Going into today's meeting, let me explain to you the backdrop. Bernie Sanders, who you're looking at here, and a series of 100 other plus Democrats in both the House and Senate have written the President of the United States saying that under the next stimulus package, there must be a stimulus check every month until this pandemic's over. That's presuming that at least 6 more months of stimulus checks at least $2,000 are being pushed by those Democrats. It's not a mile push. And what I need you to understand is that's $12,000 to $16,000. It's more than hazard pay ever was. It's more than FPUC at retro ever was. And it's more than SSI and SSDI. If you think it's a very large sort of pie in the sky amount, let me tell you this, it's not. Why? Because the President of the United States last Friday discussed spending, are you ready for this? $3,000 a year for every child for 18 years. That's 18 years of $3,000. So for me to discuss with you $2,000 for just 6 payments is not a lot of money in comparison to what he's referring to, the entire country for 18 years. Would the president do this? Many insiders believe yes. But what's happening today with Jerome Powell? Well, Jerome Powell will be discussing at the Federal Reserve what's called the FOMC notes. And what's important to understand is that this is what's going on. In 2020 and in 2021 and to this very last hours of yesterday, the Federal Reserve was supporting this economy with 3 types of stimulus. 1, buying bonds. 2, buying mortgages. And 3, keeping interest rates flat. The Federal Reserve may revert those policies and drop the first 2 stimulus items. If they do, then the big question is, what are they going to do with interest rates? If they don't touch interest rates, then when would they touch them? Most insiders believe early next year, which would be good. Other insiders think the end of next year, which would be very good. But here's the concern. This president is now on high alert that he's facing inflationary concerns. The president's piling on money, whether it's talking about $2,000, $3,000 a month for $3,000 a year for 18 years or more for children, or talking about enormous expenditures on infrastructure, $7 billion. This president's talking a massive spending, and Wall Street is not excited about it. That massive spending comes on the following news from yesterday. The Federal Reserve, yourself and myself, saw that the January and February retail sales numbers flopped. What went on? In December, you got a $600 stimulus check, but you generally spent it in January. Retail sales went up in January because you had a $600 stimulus check. Pretty obvious. In February, you didn't. And guess what happened? They fell. Yesterday, we learned that the February retail sales numbers dropped dramatically because people had no money to spend. They didn't have that $600 anymore, which shows you that Bernie Sanders and those Democrats are right. People do not have money to spend. They need more stimulus reoccurring. And to see the retail sales dropping, going negative, not improving in February when parts of this country started to reopen is a big warning signal that perhaps this economy is not rebounding like many thought it was. So when would that stimulus check literally land today? Second, where should you withdraw the funds and how could you withdraw the funds? I'll go over that as well. And then the big question is, what if there's something missing when you get the stimulus check today? How do you fix that? There's a breaking development on that story as well. All that is more coming up shortly. But first, here's a little bit about the community page and today's big, exciting programming schedule on this channel. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on Mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE.
From Wall Street to Main Street, this is LALATE.
It's a big day with exciting great news. Why? Not only is it Green Beer Day, but it's also Greenbacks Day, as countless millions of Americans will receive by direct deposit today their $1,400 third stimulus check in their bank account. Finally. But when throughout the day would that be for you? Here's what you need to know. First, deposits appear throughout the day. Number two, deposits appear in certain bank accounts at certain times and other accounts at the same bank at other times. So there's no need for cause for alarm if you don't see anything posted at 8 o'clock in the morning or 9 o'clock in the morning or 10 o'clock in the morning. Now, you may at the time of this recording actually show it available. Why? Because funds were cleared last night. And at 12:01 a.m., your local time, the funds were made available. Ultimately, the banks have to update the websites to provide that information to you. If you've not subscribed, make sure you subscribe, because you see around the clock how I'm giving you incredible minute details about how to ensure you're getting the stimulus check, how to ensure you can withdraw the stimulus check, and everything and anything. Next, once you see the funds are available and the balance is $1,400, you can withdraw the funds. There's no reason to leave the funds in the account. Moreover, if you have concerns about the funds because of a bad ex-husband or because of a bad neighbor or because of a bad son or daughter, then go and withdraw the funds and put them in your pocket. Moreover, here's another message to understand. I have been advising and warning viewers throughout the last 48 hours not to withdraw the funds by ATM. First, there may be ATM fees. Direct Express has already told its Direct Express customers that if you withdraw the stimulus check by an ATM, you may incur fees. But I'm more worried about security threats. Today, across the country, millions and millions of people will go to ATMs to withdraw 14 $100 bills. You know what it looks like when you're holding 14 $100 bills at an ATM machine? It's very obvious. It's cause for security alert, and it's cause also for possible pickpocketing. I recommend you go inside the branch of your local bank, give your card to the teller, and have them withdraw it off the card. Then put the money into an envelope and put it in your pocket. And leave privately and quietly. Go right home. Do not go walking around with $1,400 in your pocket. Moreover, this message as well. Every bank generally will withdraw funds from a Direct Express card or a debit card or a federal card for free. But ask the teller before they do it. Meantime, what is Elizabeth Warren doing? Well, Elizabeth Warren is pushing for standalone executive orders or other messages from this president. And yesterday and the day before, Elizabeth Warren spoke to the White House and spoke to the president yet again. Her message was forgive $50,000 of student loan debt. And the president's message she received is that $50,000 of student loan debt should be forgiven by executive order, should not be forgiven by a bill. The president's response, not much of anything. This is not the first time Elizabeth Warren and Chuck Schumer have pushed for it. They pushed for it in November and January and February and now again in March. And each time the president refused to do it. So is this a signaling that Warren and others may have to do big stimulus, like reoccurring stimulus checks, by bill and not by presidential executive order? Here's Elizabeth Warren's recent statement about how student loan debt forgiveness should be done by this president and how he should not be worried about doing it by executive order.
The consequence of student loan debt means there are lots of people who aren't moving out from their parents' homes, lots of people who aren't buying their own homes, and one of the other things the data shows, lots of people who are not starting their own businesses. And all of those things hold back our economy. And I make that point because I'm sure there are lots of folks who are on this call tonight who don't have student loan debt. But here's the deal. Even if you don't have student loan debt, you will be helped by seeing student loan debt canceled because it will help our economy. This is one of those things that doesn't have to go through Congress. The authority is already there in law for the president and his team, the administration, the Secretary of Education, to cancel out this student loan debt. And President Obama used it to cancel some student loan debt. President Trump used it to cancel some student loan debt. I want to see President Biden use it. If he would cancel $50,000 in student loan debt, it would make an enormous difference in the lives of tens of millions of Americans and help build our entire nation a stronger future going forward. So, as you know, I'm all in on this one. And if we could persuade the president, we could do this one fast.
What's important to understand is that Elizabeth Warren's push for executive order is not particularly going well with this president. The president has been pushed for a lot of things, and when it comes to stimulus, he's not particularly always on point. let me go over where we are on forced stimulus, the next stimulus package. $1,400 won't cut it anymore, those Democrats said. Has to be reoccurring stimulus checks every month. If you look at a stimulus check of $2,000 every month for 6 months, which is really where they are at, and I don't mean two Democrats, I mean nearly 100, that is $12,000. That's a lot more than FPUC retro. It's more than hazard pay. It's more than SSI and SSDI. And that ultimately, I hope that the push of the purple power pushes behind those Democrats to get this big stimulus. Here's what you need to know. In the last 24 hours, a lot of concerns about the virus internationally have grown. Italy is going back on lockdown. Germany is going back on lockdown. They call it third wave because they've not gotten the virus under control. In the United States, several states have reopened across the board. But that reopening may signal that we aren't prepared for third wave. Dr. Fauci has advised the public as well that third wave may be right around the corner. And if you look at what the Federal Reserve may say today, that may signal more stimulus is needed right away. Dr. Fauci spoke in the last 24 hours about the concern as the big wave continues in other parts across the country.
Consistently is that how do we approach the entire issue of pandemic preparedness currently and for future pandemics? If I have the first slide, there are 3 components that have been pursued now for some years. The first is priority pathogens. Pick out a pathogen that you think might be risky in the future. That could be Nipah, that could be Ebola, that could be any of a number. The other is to develop platform technologies. We've already spoken about the real advances that have been made with messenger RNA technology.
Fauci's message throughout the last 3 days is that the president needs to be of deep concern that ultimately, when you look at the surging numbers in Germany and Italy, that we may need to address that concern as well. What does this mean for you? Well, the great news is that you're going into a new morning with exciting deposits of $1,400 stimulus checks. Those $1,400 stimulus checks are landing across the board for countless millions of Americans. Those might be you as well. Throughout today's broadcast, I'll be tracking the stimulus check deposits with you. As a family, I'll be live chatting with you in the videos. We'll be chatting about direct deposit, card. We'll be talking about big banks. We'll be talking about app cards or apps that may be depositing the money as well. A lot of the major apps said they're not releasing the money to the 17th. And as a collective family, the best way you know if the money's starting to land is when someone else who banks at your bank drops into the live chat, like the live chat of this show, that they've received the funds. If you share that information, then other people know it may be time for them as well. What is the best way to be of alert whether the funds deposit in the account or not is the following. Most banking websites have an alert function where you can go in and set up an email and or a text alert. And that email or text alert will tell you when the funds post. Finally, if you do get a message today that the funds are pending, then guess what? Calling up the bank is the best way to know when the funds are available to be released, because ultimately, funds are generally released 24 hours later, but it always depends on the bank. But boy, there is a lot of stuff else happening this morning. And coming up later on Mornings LALATE and also on this channel, I'll be going over the IRS Track My Stimulus tool. I'll be going over the big new advisory from IRS saying not to do modified tax returns. This is a big surprise. And I'll also be going over what is happening with the paper checks. Ultimately, a lot of big exciting news. The toast is toasted. The butter is buttering. I'm here, you're here, and America's starting to wake up to stimulus checks. If that person is you, congratulations. And if it's you in the next few hours, stay patient. It's coming. If you've not subscribed, make sure you subscribe to this channel, like this video, and stay with me as LA continues this morning, starting right now.